The term comes from economics, but as I see it, supersedes economics. We're talking about creatures doing things, the fundamentals of behavior. Energy is expended, the creature moves in such a way or grows in such a way, or the processes of its body undergo some change in some way. It doesn't matter if we're talking about a little itsy bitsy bacterium. It doesn't matter if we're talking about an incredibly old redwood tree. It doesn't mean we're talking about any kind of specific creature at all. We're talking about the observation that creatures all behave. Investment implies return of some kind, and that's a very tricky word in biology. Outcome is a better word, consequence. But of course we're thinking in terms of evolutionary consequence in the long run, which is to say historically, and that opens up an enormously complex set of terms which I'd rather avoid. In this case, however, one useful term is potential fitness. I'm not talking about actual fitness in terms of reproductive success across the population on the average associated with this or that behavior or appearance or anything. I'm talking about, for an individual, how things seem as if they might be going in those terms as of right now. Potential fitness is, in real terms, an extremely unpredictable, non-reliable metric, but bluntly, it's all we have. So in listing all these activities in the box below, they are merely those things which have an impact on potential fitness at the individual level. It doesn't mean that we can assess precisely what impacts they'll have, because that means knowing the future and a broad range of outcome across individuals, which we can't possibly know. Regardless, they may serve as important variables for our attention. And any given species has its priorities of which ones are important at a given life stage or at all. There are creatures that aren't social. There are creatures who have very little time to reproductive maturity. All sorts of different spins on each of these variables can be found in terms of a given kind of creature's life history strategy. When we look at ours, our ecological and physiological features set us up for some deep attention on some specific things. We're big. We have relatively few offspring. We take a long time to grow up. We have immense energy demands at an individual level. These and many other considerations, certainly reproductive ones, we have obligate sexual reproduction, and we have one sex, or rather type of gamete per individual. All of these things generate priorities of a specific profile. And of course, that profile involves trading off among the different things to do at different times of our lives. So looking down this set of bullet points and thinking about which ones require or have resulted in our case in a great deal of prioritizing. That's the essence of talking about investment. Obviously, this has nothing to do with motives. Obviously, different individuals are going to be stressing different bullet points or denial of specific bullet points in favor of others at different times in their lives. However, the argument is that a human being does this kind of individual prioritizing and trading off in the range that's shared by other human beings and in ways that are interpretable by other human beings in a fashion that we couldn't do, for example, or at least not very well, regarding, say, a creature, just to pick some of my favorites, starfish breeding in the Pacific Northwest, swimming to the top of the ocean in the shallow bay, and every starfish simultaneously releasing jillions of sperm and ova into the water in this soup of genetic recombination. And the little baby larvae float out to sea, undergo various metamorphoses, and eventually come back to the shoreline as starfish. In this case, a creature reproducing in this fashion has no courtship. It has no relationship or interaction with potential sexual partners. All of the sexual activity in terms of differences in individuals is conducted in terms of how much sperm or ova you're dropping into the water. Therefore, the priorities of life for a starfish have different emphases across these bullet points than ours do, at a vast level that far outweighs the individual differences that two human beings, or for that matter, two different starfish, may bring to their own experience of life.